Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. Well, we are still in the midst of the wedding season, and for all those who are going to get married next year and are attending others' weddings this year, I'm sure you're wondering how on earth are you going to be footing the bill? Well, fret not. The financial services industry brings to you wedding loans. Yes, loans specifically to pay and help you pay for your wedding, even if you want that big fat Indian wedding and don't want your friends and family to miss out on that. But what exactly are the latest trends, and how exactly would a wedding loan differ from a personal loan? Because for generations, our parents, grandparents have usually been resorting to personal loans to help bridge that gap when it comes to funding for their kids' wedding. Let's understand that. We have with us Mayank Kachhwaha, co-founder and COO of IndiaLends. Mayank, thank you so much for joining us on The Money Show. That's what I would like to start off with, just to set the context before I delve into, of course, the report you guys have drafted, and researched on when it comes to the trends in the wedding loan business. Why a wedding loan? Traditionally, we've always usually just resorted to a personal loan and then, paid it off, your run-of-the-mill personal loan from a bank. So why would I opt for a wedding loan as opposed to a personal loan? How do the two differ?
So again, I think a personal loan and a wedding loan are not very different in the nature of the loan itself. What we're seeing is that a lot of people, and so when we first started out, actually, we started realizing a lot of people were coming to us with the specific reason when they were looking for a personal loan. They'd come to us and ask us for a loan for their own wedding or someone else's wedding in their family. And so sort of we decided that, we're going to start a specific type of category of loans, which in essence is like a personal loan, really works like a personal loan, but it's tailored to the person's wedding needs, right? So there are different requirements that the person has related to the wedding. And especially when it comes to, sometimes there are urgencies in terms of loan requirement and the turnaround times. We're able to get that loan faster to some of these guys. I think that's the bigger difference here. Outside of that, it mostly works like a personal loan.
Is there any major difference in maybe the interest rate or anything like that that's charged on a personal loan versus a wedding loan?
Not so much.
Okay, all right.
Not so much. I mean, I think the interest rates really depend on the individual. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now let's talk about some of those findings in the, in the report that you guys have authored when it comes to wedding loans. Who is the target audience? Which kind of a customer, which Indian is out there taking wedding loans? What have you observed in the trends over there?
So I think when we looked at this data, right, we realized there are a lot of people that were applying for personal or wedding loans in this example here were millennials, right? And I think when we look at our split of overall loan applications, we're seeing a fair split of older generations or other people above the age of 38, 40 also applying for typical personal loans. But what we were seeing was a highly concentrated population in terms of millennials applying for wedding loans. And so that's some trend that we saw very clearly. I mean, I think our study suggested that about 80% of the applications that we got were from millennials. And I think the other thing that we sort of looked at was the split. And I think overall, when we're looking at personal loan applications, we see a skew towards men applying more than women. But here we saw a very fair split, almost close to a 50-50 in terms of women and men applying for wedding-related loans. So that was something that sort of popped up as a finding from the study that we did.
So, traditionally, you usually have the parents saving up, right? Literally right from the child is born and saying that, I'm going to invest in a mutual fund because I want to pay for my son or my daughter's wedding. And now you're telling me, of course, that the millennials are taking a wedding loan themselves to essentially pay for their own wedding. So are we looking at a trend where gone are the days where you have to ask your parents to pay for it and that millennials want to be able to afford their big fat Indian wedding on their own?
I think what we're seeing essentially, right? I think weddings are becoming way more expensive, and so I think part of the bill is being, I guess, the footing of the bill is being done through the personal loan. I think parents still take some of it. I mean, and that's purely anecdotal, right? From having heard friends talk about it. But yes, we're definitely seeing a trend of people paying for certain parts of expenses, uh, things like jewelry. So there are certain things that, that also came out in our study. There are specific things that individuals are choosing to pay for themselves. And then there are certain other things that maybe the parents are paying for. But yes, there is generally a trend towards the individuals paying for it themselves in large parts.
Okay, well, wedding expenses are so large that you actually need a wedding loan to cover it up. So, what does the report say in terms of the reasons for the wedding loan? I mean, when the individual takes a loan, where are they usually using that money? What is it used? What aspect of the angle, or rather, what aspect of the wedding do they essentially use the loan for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the usual suspects there, right? I think it's jewelry. It's some people are buying their honeymoon packages using the money. And so there are enough travel websites that you go to, and I think they are promoting some of these packages as well. And so, I mean, the wedding venue, gifts for a lot of people. So it's the usual suspects in terms of what you'd expect, where the majority of the spend in a wedding is. I think these personal loans tend to be slightly larger in size, and therefore I think they're being used to service those sorts of expenses.
You know, Mayank, when you talk about taking a loan, it's obviously not a very easy process for everybody, right? Walking over to a bank and then submitting the innumerable number of papers, so on and so forth. So, what's the most easiest method then to obtain a wedding loan?
I think that's why we exist, right? I think all of the fintech players, people looking at solving this problem, what we've been able to do in the last 5, 6 years is actually, one, we've been able to bring a lot of these financial institutions, all your large banks, non-banking finance companies on the same platform, so you can compare and get the best possible offers. What we're people, platforms like ours are able to do is also tailor different products to the need of the customer, especially things like, let's say, a wedding loan, where you can maybe get better turnaround times and such. So I think in general, over the last 4, 5 years, the process has become simpler. I think, especially when we look at millennials, they're applying using their phones and they're and going on the desktop websites and applying a lot as well. So I think we're seeing that trend of application also increasing towards platforms like ours. And what we're able to do is, through deep integrations with banks, we're able to actually help them get the right products, get them the right comparisons in no time at all. So I think that's helped a lot in the last 4, 5 years.
Okay, great. Well, folks, there you have it. Want to pay for your own wedding? A wedding loan is always an option, though, mind you, prudent financial practice, and I'm sure Mayank may not like this, but yeah, prudent financial practice says take it easy. If you don't have the money, no need to resort to a loan for discretionary spends like this. But of course, choice is yours. And, you know, folks like IndiaLends are always there to help you out through your journey. Mayank, thank you so much for joining us, to throw some
Thanks
light
for
on
having me
wedding
here.
loans, on the trends as well that you've been witnessing. It's the millennials that really are grabbing a big pie of the world of wedding loans. We'll wrap it up on this episode of The Money Show. Thank you so much for watching.